When you hear people talking about getting in shape, they usually are doing it to look better. But what if I said that is such a small part of it? What if I told you your life will get 100 times easier once you get on Body Game? And it's everything. It overlaps so many things, and that's why I would say Body Game is the first step, and it's the most important step. When it comes to your energy, when it comes to your self-belief, when it comes to your happiness, Body Game plays a huge role. And even my father, he was supposed to get this hip surgery and he was having a hard time finding a doctor because a lot of these doctors aren't taking it because it's weight. He's like, I think it's probably because of my weight. Like, I need to lose weight. So even in situations like that, when it comes to your health, people aren't going to value you the same way because you're more at the risk. And I said this before, like a lot of people that are obese, when they go to the doctor, they get inferior treatment. Yeah, you get inferior treatment, for sure. Now, some people, they'll say, oh, that's BS. My doctor always treats me good. He always shows respect to me. But I'm like, I've ran into a lot of people where it was like, every time I go to the doctor, I dread it because I'm obese. I've talked to many people like that. Matter of fact, that's what actually made me start this channel. Like, that's what got me back on YouTube, because I was debating a woman on TikTok, a big back lady on TikTok, and she was complaining how doctors treat her. I said, you worried about how the doctor's treating you, you need to worry about how you treat yourself. Is it wrong that the doctor doesn't show you the same level of respect? Yeah, you could say that, but how about you stop trying to change other people and you focus on what you have control over? And even the other day, yesterday, I went on a hike with a girl, and I remember she was telling me how, it's not a lot of these people's fault that they're obese. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, I wrote a whole paper on this about how, certain locations, people are more obese because of their environment. She like, so it's really not their fault. Like, people are set up to be that way. I'm like, yeah, people are set up to be obese, but they decide to stay that way. And I told her, like, I've had many things in my life I had to unlearn, and they can do the same thing, right? Like, if your parents were obese, if you grew up where you didn't have a grocery store near you, you just had like a gas station, you got a lot of snacks from the gas station, what have you. If you're a kid and you're obese, that's really not on you as much. That's really on your parents. But I said, as soon as you turn 18, as soon as you go live on your own, or even if you're at home with your parents, like, you need to start making decisions to put your life on the right path. And I understand, like, my parents, they bought a lot of honey buns. They bought a lot of just sweet treats. I grew up on takeout. I grew up on fast food. I was always still lean because I just was so active. I was outside every single day. I was always moving. So I could like eat anything and I wouldn't get fat. But let's say I wasn't moving around a lot, I probably would have been a fat kid. And you have to get to a certain age, 18, 19, 20, where you decide you're in control of your life. So I was telling this girl on the hike yesterday, I said, yeah, people are set up, and then you look at some people's genetics, people like, some islanders like Samoans, they can pack on weight very easily. That's in their genetics. So it's a lot easier for them to become obese, but that's still no excuse. You still have control over what you put in your mouth. So you can't play this game of like, oh, I'm not in any healthy grocery stores and this and that. Cause I told her, I said, if you're not near any healthy grocery stores, you can buy frozen vegetables, you can buy frozen fruit. It's just as good as the fresh stuff. Buy the frozen fruit, buy the frozen vegetables, buy some canned sardines, hell. You don't need to top of the line everything. Now, is the top of the line stuff better? Yeah, most of the time it is. But if you broke, you don't have money like that, you can buy the frozen stuff, the frozen vegetables, the frozen fruit, the things like canned sardines, and then make sure you don't have the harmful oils in those sardines. But when I was telling her this, she was like, well, I guess you have a point. I was like, I know I got a point. Like, there's way too many people that don't take any responsibility for what they eat. They think, oh, I'm just naturally big bone, I'm just this way. And it doesn't have to be like that. Like, I've had a lot of stuff I had to unlearn in my life. I thought, oh, this is just the way it is. No, that's the way you're making it. And that's why the main focus, I've talked about it many times, the first thing I really talked about when I was talking about Body Game is like, you have to reflect on your life. You have to look at how you grew up. You have to look at what habits did your parents push on you. And even when I talked about that before, they're like, oh, you talking bad about your parents, Cole? Oh, no, that's so bad. I said, no, that's the truth. Right? We could all talk shit about our parents. We just keeping it real. I don't say anything to bash either one of my parents. I think my parents did a good job. but I say what's the real is so I can reflect on it and learn from it and then move appropriately so I can get where I want to be. But see, a lot of people, they want to get to a certain point, but they don't know what the hell they are. First, you got to reflect on why you do the things you do. You have to reflect on why you don't value yourself, why you don't believe in yourself. Because most of you brothers, y'all ain't believing in yourself. You think you love yourself, but you don't. Because you would make better habits for yourself if you really loved yourself, if you really cared for yourself. So I told that girl, I'm like, I understand some people are put at a disadvantage. But to act like these people have no control over being obese, that's bullshit. I told her that straight up like that. I said, that's bullshit. And I'm sure your paper was great. It had a lot of valid points. But at the end of the day, we all make our own decisions. And a lot of people, they don't make their own decision. They decide for somebody else to make their decisions. But I promise you, dog, I never understood how people get on body game and then let themselves go. Because the difference is day and night. The difference is day and night when it comes to your dating life, when it comes to your happiness. Like I used to work with one guy, actually 2 obese guys at my last job that I'm thinking about. One dude, he was like super depressed. You could tell he's just dealing with mental health issues. Always making jokes about, offing himself and stuff like that. And then the other guy, he was a pretty happy guy. But there was days like I could just see the pain in his face. Cause he was so obese, like I could just see the pain in his face. Like you could tell brother was hurting. And that's what people don't understand. Even being obese, that affects your mental health. So when guys like, oh, the body game is overrated, Cole, I'm like, no, you don't understand how deep this shit is. You don't understand how deep this shit is, dog. And some people, they can get away with living like a shit ass. Eating the junk food, not doing no physical activity. Some guys can get away with that for a while. But it always catches up to them down the road. Just like my dad, dog. My dad been drinking alcohol for a long time. On a regular basis. I would consider him a heavy drinker. He wouldn't consider himself a heavy drinker. But it caught up to him. It's caught up to him, and I can see the pain he goes through now. Because he should have been able to get a hip surgery, but they don't want to take him now because his weight. Because, that adds a lot of complications to the surgery. He's like, I'm still getting around and stuff, but it's like you're dragging, Pops. You getting around, but you dragging. I know you're in pain. I think my dad just has a really high pain tolerance. But I can see he's going through pain, dog. Because his decisions, because his habits. So it's like, stop blaming your situation. You can change your situation. You can change your environment. And that's why I told her, I said, look, I know things ain't perfect in America. But when we talk about America, you can make your situation better. It's just most people decide not to. Most people decide to go with the flow. Most people just try to fit in. Most people stick to what they've been given. They don't go look for what they actually want. So that's why a lot of people are fat. Because they ate all this junk food growing up. That's the way it is. That's the food I like. They build these addictions at an early age. And I said, I feel bad for the kids. Like the woman's pregnant and she eating a whole bunch of fast food. I feel bad for those kids. But that's pretty much the norm now. You got people feeding their little babies like McDonald's. I've seen it. I'm just like, what the hell? It's crazy to me, man. But once you really start to see how different life is, when you're not dragging around, when you have energy, when you have your happiness, dog, it's not just about the look. The looks, it's a bonus. But that's such a small part, dog. Now, the looks do help you get treated better. Like I said, even when it comes to your doctor, they gonna look at you differently if you're fat or not. Because they gonna look at you like, this person don't care about themselves. Why should I care? And like I said, some people might be fat and they say, oh, I have a great doctor. He never disrespected me or whatever. But I've talked to a lot of fat people that said, man, my doctor treats me like shit. I had to go find a new doctor. And then the new doctor treated me like shit too. I'm just telling y'all the real. I'll tell y'all what I see. But I would get on body game. Because it overlaps so much. It overlaps so much. When it comes to attraction. When it comes to your energy. When it just comes to you getting up and getting after what you want. Because a lot of these obese people, they just dragging, man. And even when I eat like super bad in the day, I can feel myself dragging. Like I say, really reflect on how you feel after you eat. Some of these foods are gonna slow you down. Food's supposed to be fuel, but a lot of these foods is holding you down. So man, get on body game, dog. Stop waiting, stop blaming other people for your situation, because that's not gonna help anything. And that's why I was trying to tell that girl, like, yeah, you might be put in a disadvantage, like certain people, because where they grew up, they might have grew up in a poor community, but you can make it out of that. You can make it out of that, but see, a lot of people, they lack that awareness. They don't reflect on this situation. So they just stay there, dog. But I'm telling you, it's worth the leap. It's worth the leap every time. And once you get on body game, dog, there's no looking back. When it comes to everything, it's the first step and it's the most important step. You see a lot of guys, they get in the gym and they just take over every other part of their life. Because sometimes, you know, you lack that self-belief. But then you see that physical change you made in yourself after 6 months, after a year, however long it takes. And you like, damn, I can do this in every part of my life. Then you get that bag up too. Then your dating life starts getting better. You messing with chicks that you thought was out of your league. You doing stuff you could never imagine yourself doing. And it all started with the body game. Dog, the mind, body, soul is all connected. If you shit on yourself physically, your mentality is gonna be fucked up. Your happiness is gonna be fucked up. But that's all I got for y'all today, man. Your life will get so much easier. So much easier. I mean, hell, even I seen one dude in the comment section. He like, man, I used to be obese. My meat done got bigger because I lost this weight. Even when it comes to stuff like the bedroom, like it overlaps so many things, dog. Now you got the proper blood flow. Now you can enjoy something that you used to be insecure about. Like it overlaps so many things, man. It's not just about the look. But y'all make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch y'all boys in the next one.